Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a multiple part video. Wait, that didn't make any sense. Today's video is going to consist of multiple DIYs and crafts that can be done so quickly and so easily, utilizing mostly products from Dollar Tree. I know sometimes the Halloween season can kind of sneak up on us, and sometimes you just don't have time to sit down and do a 30-minute craft, let alone a multiple day craft. So if you are looking for just some really easy crafts that you can crank out and use as home decor or fun activities for you or fun activities for your kids, then just keep watching. For the first craft, you need to pick up this wooden cutout. It has a house in the middle and some bats and a really ornate kind of Victorian style frame around it. And I decided to make this into kind of like a Halloween up house. So the first step is cutting out these bats. I'm just going to be using an X-Acto knife to kind of score the blade down and cut the bats out, as the best way I can explain it. So I just pushed down really hard with my blade on the front and the back, and then the bats kind of just popped out of place. And then using that same X-Acto knife, I'm just going to kind of shave down the edges to make sure I have a nice smooth edge so that it looks like it came like this. So next we're going to start painting the house itself. I did pull up a reference photo of the up house, and obviously this house is not identical to the up house, but it was close enough to where I could color block it, because if you guys have seen up, you know that the up house is very color blocked. There's like a green portion, a pink portion, yellow, but I did decide to use more Halloween type colors. So I did swap out a couple colors for what I thought was a little bit more of a Halloween look. For the roof portions of the house, I painted them all black using ink black chalk paint. You can definitely use acrylic paint for this. I just only have black chalk paint, so that's what I'll be using. And then I'll also be using this on the frame, but I want to show you guys very specifically how I did that because I kind of messed up the first time. After looking at the house, I didn't like how I had two portions of the house that were green, and so I decided to paint the bottom portion yellow. Now to do that, I did have to paint it with white chalk paint to kind of give it a fresh base coat and then go in with yellow. I also painted that tallest kind of steeple on top with pink as well. So it was yellow and I just added pink on top of it in case you guys are wanting to do the exact coloring that I chose. Now, beginning with painting the frame, I started by painting what looks kind of like the stoop that extends off of the house all black, and then I did extend the black paint onto the frame itself. But before you guys start painting, I just want to show you a method, I guess, that I figured out while I was painting that I much preferred. So I started by using a sponge brush that I was really just caking on that black paint to give it total like opacity. But then I realized that if I kind of scraped the brush along, it gave it a really cool distressed look. So I do end up doing that instead, and I'm going to show you guys how I fixed this bottom portion, because obviously if you look at this, this is not distressed at all. But then when I got to this side, I was like, oh, that looks so much cooler. So then I decided to paint the whole frame like this. So instead of loading up my brush and dabbing it, I'm just getting a little bit of paint on it and just swiping it across. And I'm not being super concerned with evening the saturation of paint across the frame. Now, initially I tried to just wipe the paint off, but if you guys work with chalk paint, you know it basically instantly dries. So I wasn't able to do that. So instead I grabbed a sanding block that I have from Dollar Tree and I just started sanding away the paint a little bit. This did work really well, and I was able to get it to the same distressed level as the rest of the frame. So next we're going to move on to making the balloons. I'm going to be using these smooth styrofoam balls that I already had on hand, and I'm going to be painting them orange, yellow, and then leaving a portion of them white. So I just counted them out and put them into these little bowls, or cauldrons technically, and I'm just going to paint, I think it was 10 of each color, so I've got 10 white, 10 orange, and 10 yellow, I believe. The reason I chose to do the styrofoam balls is because I already had them on hand, but obviously you could use pom-poms for this, or wooden beads, or something that you have that's convenient. The colors that I'm using are all apple barrel, and it's harvest pumpkin, and apricot is the yellow color. And then this is how I like to paint stuff like this. I just roll the ball around in my fingers with the paint on my fingers, and I feel like it gives me a pretty even coat. The yellow only needed 1 coat, but the orange did need 2 coats. So I am going in a second time and just kind of smearing the paint all around it. After allowing those to dry, I'm just going to go in with hot glue and start gluing them on one at a time. Now, something that I was very specific to do on this project was not to only glue them down onto the frame. So as you can see, these 2 first ones are glued down onto the wood itself, but then I start to layer them on top and glue ones that look like they're popping up so that it gives it a really nice 3D effect when you're looking at all of the balloons. And then I just continue gluing them on. I'm not going in any particular pattern. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have too many of one color all in one area. So this is what the balloons looked like once I was all done with them, but I didn't like how there weren't actually strings attaching the balloons to the house. So instead of individually gluing jute twine to the house behind it, I have this bundle of already pre-cut jute twine. It came in one of those packs of DIY wooden ornaments from Dollar Tree. I've done quite a few crafts with those if you guys are curious, but I realized that these were already cut short and even, so it was much easier to use them. Now these are knotted at the bottom, so I just untied them, and I'm just going to fold them in half and use a pretty good amount of hot glue to glue them down. But right now I'm just spacing them apart and making sure that I can really expose each individual strand so that it looks like they're really attached to the balloons. And then using a pretty big amount of hot glue, I'm just going to tap down these jute twines. This little finger protector is absolutely necessary for this particular portion. They do sell these in a 3-pack at Dollar Tree. And they're really crucial when you need to touch hot glue. And then I'm just doing a line of hot glue, and I'm just going to start tapping the ends of the jute twine down into that line of hot glue. And I want to make sure that the strings look pretty stretched, like the balloons are actually pulling the house up. And that is the last step for this little haunted up house. This is one of my favorite things I think I've ever made. I just love the little candy corn balloons so much. So next we're going to be making a little fake pumpkin pie with a little Mickey whipped cream dollop in the middle. So I normally like to use lightweight spackle to make fake desserts, and guys, I would strongly suggest that's what you stick to. This time I'm trying out just caulking that you get in like the home improvement section of Walmart, but they do also sell it at Dollar Tree. I just already had this one on hand, and using that I'm going to try to create the pumpkin pie filling. That color was so hard to try to mix myself. So I would definitely suggest going to Walmart and just trying to pick out the closest pre-made color that you can find, because I end up mixing like orange, yellow, light brown, dark brown. It was a lot to mix, and my hand was about to fall off. So maybe just go spend the 58 cents to go get the right color. Anyway, after mixing all of these paints, I am going to use this little tin giant bottle cap. It comes from Dollar Tree, and I already used one of them to make this big grape soda pin that I hang on the wall, but I thought it also looked like a pie tin, so flipping it upside down, I was going to create this little miniature Mickey pumpkin pie. So after I got the pie filling portion to a color that I was okay with, I'm going to be using a styrofoam disc in the center of that little tin, just so that I don't need quite as much stuff to cover it. And then in my head, this made sense, just filling in the rest with caulking, but I didn't allow it to dry. It didn't cause any problems, but I don't know. In my head, that might not have been the best choice. And then using what's in this little cup, I'm just going to use a giant popsicle stick and start filling in the pie tin. This portion definitely gets messy, and this is one of the reasons I would highly suggest instead using lightweight spackle, because with lightweight spackle, I would have put it into a gallon bag and mixed the paint color in the gallon bag, and then I would have cut the corner off of the bottom of the gallon bag and used it kind of like a piping bag for frosting cakes. I just think it would have given me a lot more control over doing this, and it wouldn't have been quite as messy. So next, I did not allow this to dry, and again, I didn't have any issues. Hopefully this is okay, but I just cleaned off the edges with a paper towel, and then using what I had left in the caulking gun, I'm going to be using that to create the whipped cream edges, as well as a little Mickey whipped cream dollop in the center. Now, this is my complaint about the caulking, is that you have to use the caulking gun unless you can, like, I guess you could take all the caulking out and put it into a piping bag, but it was very hard to control the amount that was coming out, and I was struggling to kind of keep it pretty on the edges. But I do think that the ultra white color of this looks a lot like whipped cream. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys can see this, but on the first portion of this, I tried to just do kind of like a thin line, and then I decided to go in with more of a squiggling type of effect. And because it looked different on the two sides, I had to layer it. So I am going to go in and do a couple of layers of this kind of squiggle pattern using the caulking. And then going to the center of my pie, I'm going to start with the Mickey head. So I'm just using this and kind of just doing my best to squeeze out a little Mickey head of whipped cream. It definitely was a little bit off center, but it was still cute. And then I'm just going to use the rest of the caulking to kind of fill in the edges where it's got too many gaps. I did allow this to sit and dry overnight before moving it because I wanted to make sure that all of this caulking had time to dry. And this is what it turned out like. I think it looks really cute in my tiered tray, and I just think it's kind of a different piece of decor and something different to DIY. It is rock solid. It's actually pretty hefty when you pick it up. But yeah, this was kind of a fun, different project. So I debated even showing you guys this one because, I mean, you can tell what I'm about to do. My thought was that some of you might not know that Dollar Tree sells LED candles. So they are fake, they take batteries, and they do have a flicker to them, which is so pretty. So I picked up a Dollar Tree candle. I'm just using that black chalk paint. Again, I do think acrylic would be better for this particular project, but chalk paint is all I have. So I am just using a little bit of black chalk paint to paint the flame on this candle, and boom, got myself a black flame candle. I also wanted to show you guys this black flame candle that I made on my channel quite a few years ago, along with Book, because both of these were made from solely Dollar Tree products as well. So I will have that video linked for you guys if you want to check those out. So the next project was totally inspired by a YouTuber that I love. Her name is Crafty Gurl. I will have her linked down below because she is the one that inspired me to make this. So I picked up all of the different versions of these little wood cutout haunted houses, and I'm just going to be painting these black. Kala actually helped me do this, and that was a really fun craft for us to do together. We did decide to use black chalk paint because Kala was the one helping me, and then on the second set that I ended up getting, because I will show you guys how I have these displayed and I needed more of them, I did spray paint them just for time's sake, but the chalk paint and spray paint are great. Spray paint's just faster. I did want to point out to you guys, before painting these, you're going to want to fill in that little hole if it's something that's going to bother you, and I just use lightweight spackle to do that. The other thing you're going to need are these tumbling tower blocks. They're basically Jenga blocks, but they sell them at Dollar Tree, and these are going to be how we make little stands for the houses. So we're just going to be hot gluing these on the back, and it will allow the houses to stand up on their own instead of having to be hung up. You're definitely going to want to check these as you make them because some of the houses don't have a perfectly flat bottom, so they actually don't stand up super great unless you position the Jenga pieces unevenly. Once you have the little feet attached, then you can style these. I put these up on the top of my cabinets in my kitchen. They are such a nice little statement decor piece. I need to get another garland of leaves. That is a really old one from Dollar Tree, and the newer ones from Dollar Tree are super sparse and I hate them. So I honestly would like to order some off Amazon that have lights in them because I think that would look really pretty at night. So this next craft, sorry if the video is a little odd, I made this about 2 years ago. These and these little black haunted houses, both of them I made a couple years ago. I just never used the footage for anything, so I'll be using it today. So you're going to want to pick up these little doll houses. They do come with all of these accessories in the toy section, and this is not a bonus item. This is a 125 item. So they do have two versions of the houses. There's a white one and a pink one. I did pick up both of them because I wanted two different variations of the house, and we're just going to be painting these all black, but doing some distressing as well. Now the windows and the doors do pop out, so you don't have to leave them the obnoxious bright colors. However, they are green and purple, which are Halloween colors already. So if you wanted to, I bet it would look cute. I did decide to spray paint these just for the sake of time, and the spray paint did chip off a little bit. So I definitely think if I made these again, spray painting them, I would sand them down first. Just to give it a little bit of a rough texture to grab the spray paint a little better. Now the windows and doors that were not already white, I used white chalk paint to paint those, and then the ones that were already white I just left as is, and I'm just going to reinsert these into the houses that they go with. Now some of the spray paint did chip off, so using a really fine detail brush, I'm just going in with my black chalk paint and just touching up anywhere where I see pink or purple poking through, and the same thing on a couple of the windows where the paint chipped off from the chalk paint. I would definitely do a layer of Mod Podge on these if you're worried about the paint chipping off, but they turned out pretty cute, and they're such a quick and easy little Halloween craft that makes a really nice display or filler for your decorations. This next one is so easy. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but they tend to have these foam pumpkins out. I could only find the black ones with the removable stem. Some of the newer ones, the stem is not removable, but you can still do this. So I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut out a hole in the center top portion of the pumpkin because we're going to be covering this in fabric. So I have this really cute Mickey, Minnie, and Donald Halloween fabric. It's like this obnoxious neon green color, and I've never found a project for it until this, but it's such a simple concept. You're literally just wrapping the pumpkin in fabric. Like, that's it. I don't know exactly how much fabric you're going to need because it kind of depends if you use this exact foam pumpkin or if you pick up one of the smaller ones and kind of like dissect it to use it for this. I actually want to get a couple smaller ones and do different Halloween fabrics and have like a little section on my shelves of colorful fabric pumpkins. But this, honestly, guys, you just wrap it. I don't know. I wish I had more instructions for you, but you're wrapping it and shoving it into that hole you created. And if you have any really weird folds, you can just take your hot glue gun and kind of tack it down, reinsert the stem, and that's it. You can see here, I'm just using glue to kind of tack down some odd edges that I had created. But it's not, it's not super complicated, but now you can have a fabric pumpkin in any type of fabric that you want. If you guys really like the Dollar Tree Disney Halloween DIYs, I wanted to point out these little miniature Mickey pumpkin pots that I made a couple years ago, as well as this Boo to You sign. They're two of my favorite Halloween crafts that I have ever done, and I will have the video linked down below for you guys if you want to check it out. The next craft I wanted to include because I thought it was something you guys might like, and it's a candy corn headband or crown. I wore this for a dress-up day at school, and I made it in less than 2 minutes. I had these picks from Dollar Tree that come with 3 smaller sized candy corn on them, and I just ripped them off of the picks and then hot glued them onto a headband. It was super duper easy, and it turned out really, really cute. So this one I'm not going to call a craft so much as a little decor thing that you can add into your decorations. And it's buying this pack of 3 broomsticks from Dollar Tree. Again, you get 3 for $1.25. And then I just picked satin ribbons of the corresponding colors for the Sanderson sisters. So a green, a red, and like a pinkish satin ribbon. And tying them around in a bow. I just think it's a really cute little accent decor piece and so easy to do. And the final Dollar Tree Halloween DIY for today is using these DIY wood dice. These do come in a 3-pack for $1.25, which I think is a pretty good deal for Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to be painting these. with my chalk paint. I do sand them down first because some of them felt a little bit rough and I wanted to make sure that they took the paint and the vinyl that I'm going to be using well. The sanding block I'm using is from Dollar Tree. I need to get a new one because this one's worn down quite a bit, but these are awesome. They work so well. After you're done sanding it down, then I'm just going to be using black chalk paint and white chalk paint, and the middle block, because I'm going to stack these, is going to be white, and the top and the bottom one are going to be black. Each of the dice only needed one total coat of paint, but there were a couple spots that I just went in and tapped on a little bit of extra because the wood was showing through, but I didn't need to do 2 total coats. So next, moving on to vinyl, I cut this on my Silhouette machine and I wanted it to say Boo down the side with 3 different Mickeys on each one. I was being dumb though, and I only cut the black vinyl, even though 2 of the blocks are black, so I do end up fixing that in just a second. But this is a vinyl that I actually was sent by the company HTVR Ont, that's how you say it. And I really honestly recommend this vinyl. I gave a total review of it if you guys want to see the pros and cons, but as you can see here, it just weeds really, really well, even when you're working with super teeny tiny stuff. I do use one other type of vinyl that I am not going to endorse because it is a little tricky to work with, but as you can see here, I cut out a little Mickey Vampire, and then I also cut out a Mickey Ghost. The Mickey Ghost took way more brain power than it should have because I was putting it on the black block, so I had to outline his ears in white. Anyway, I'll just get to that part of it. But the Vampire Mickey was super easy to put on the white block. I just put him on one side and then the O on the opposite sides, and then I realized I only cut one vampire, so I did have to cut another one and put it on the last side of the block. So going back to the Mickey Ghost, I decided to layer it with a white layer and then a black layer underneath the white layer, and then I ended up needing a white layer underneath that layer. It was just a whole thing, and I definitely didn't think through how to best do it on the black coated block, so just think about how you can layer it and use the paint to your advantage as opposed to fighting against the background that you put on. You can see me here adding in the white bees. Again, this is that HTVR Ont. I'm sorry if I'm saying that company's name wrong, if it's HTVRONT, but the letters for this just stuck on so lovely and didn't peel off my paint or anything like that. And working with the Mickey Ghost and the Mickey Vampire, and we're also going to be doing a pumpkin, just such tiny shapes. It worked really well. Anyway, so the letters went on great, and then now you can see me layering the white part of the Mickey Ghost on top of the black part of the Mickey Ghost so that he has black ears and his little facial features are also black. But if you leave it like this, then the black ears are going to blend in with the background color of the block. So then I had to add a white layer underneath just the ears. And again, there's definitely an easier way to do this. I just didn't think it all the way through. Sometimes when I'm crafting, I'm just moving so rapidly. I'm not all there, guys. But even after layering 3 layers of vinyl, this stuck to the block really, really nicely. And next we're going to move on to the final thing that we're going to be adding onto these blocks, which is a little Mickey pumpkin. So this is a different kind of vinyl that I have. It has a paper backing and it's kind of a pain to get off of my cutting mat, which I don't love. But the other thing that I don't love about this vinyl is you're going to see it here. It grabs onto the thing you wanted to keep on. So if you just saw, I just ripped Mickey's face off of this pumpkin, and then trying to get it back onto the paper, it not being wonky, took me quite a while. So I'm sitting there with tweezers and my little weeding tool and my fingers and just really attempting to keep everything in place, because as I was trying to fix his face, a little piece of the ear came off, and then once I fixed that, the face got messed up again, so I'm just sitting here fixing it. Anyway, all that to be said, the other vinyl I was using worked a lot better. I do like to reuse my heat transfer vinyl, and for this first pumpkin, that was honestly not the best idea. It had a hard time sticking to it, but I used a new piece of transfer tape for the second pumpkin, and it did work a little bit better. But once I had it up, then I'm just going to place it on the side of the last black block, and then use my little squeegee to get that down on there securely. And then I'll go ahead and move on to the second pumpkin as well once I get it stuck. And this is what this one looked like once it was all finished. The one thing I'll say about these blocks, I felt kind of like I should have thought about it more, because I think it would have been cuter to do them in candy corn colors, like a yellow one, an orange one, and a white one. And then it would have been easier to do the different Mickeys. So just an idea, especially with where I decorated mine with, I think candy corn would have been the right way to go. So maybe I'll go pick up another set and try again. But you guys are going to have to let me know which way you prefer. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. You guys will have to let me know down below in the comments which of these crafts was your favorite. And if you have no idea what to leave in the comments because you just loved all of them so much, then you'll have to leave me a pumpkin emoji so that I know you made it all the way to the end of this video. If you guys are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. It really does help my channel to keep popping out videos on YouTube that people can actually see, and it helps me continue to keep creating great content for you guys. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!